Hi, my name is Michelle and welcome to this training link video on VAT calculations. In this short video, we'll be looking at both of the VAT calculations. Before we do that though, it's important that we understand the terminology used when talking about goods values before or after VAT. The terms net or excluding VAT would be the total value of goods or services after discount has been taken and before VAT has been added. The current standard VAT rate is 20%. If we have been given a net value, we would need to add an additional 20% of the net in VAT. The terms gross or including VAT would be the total value of goods or services including the additional 20% VAT amount. The calculation to add VAT is net value multiplied by 20% equals VAT. This is then added to the net. The calculation to find the VAT when we have a gross value is gross multiplied by 20 divided by 120 equals VAT. This is deducted from the gross value to give us the original net value. We can also use the calculation gross divided by 1.2 to give us the net. But because VAT is always rounded down, we would recommend calculating the VAT first. I feel that it's really important that we understand the calculations rather than just memorising them. So I'd like to take a quick look at why the two calculations are different. The black sections on the screen are equal to 100% and it represents the goods value or the net. Adding an additional 20% in VAT to this would make the gross total equal to 120%. This means that if we wanted to calculate the net from the gross, we couldn't simply deduct 20%. This would give us 20% of the gross value rather than 20% of the original net value. Let's just demonstrate that. If we sold goods to the value of £800, the invoice would be calculated as £800 multiplied by 20% equals £160. This is the VAT that will be added. £800 plus £160 is a gross invoice total of £960. Next, we'll just deduct 20% from the gross total. £960 times 20% equals 192. 960 minus 192 equals £768. We can see that this has not given us the original net value, and this is because £192 is 20% of £960. Finally, we will run through the correct calculation. £960 times 20 divided by 120 equals £160. £960 minus £160 equals £800. This slide just looks at that gross calculation a little more and how we can apply the same method to any percentage value. Let's have a look at the two elements of this calculation. Dividing by 120. We saw earlier that a gross invoice total was equal to 120%. So what we're doing here is dividing the gross value by 120 to find out what 1% is. If we can find 1%, we can find any percentage after that. Multiplying by 20. So here we're multiplying the 1% that we've just found by the percentage that we need to know, which in this case is 20%. So if we had a gross invoice value, but the VAT rate used was 5%, we would adjust the calculations as follows. The gross value would be equal to 105%. So we would replace 120 with 105. The VAT rate is 5%, so we would multiply by 5. This replaces 20 in the calculation. This would now make the calculation gross multiplied by 5 divided by 105. You may also see a simplified version of the standard VAT calculation. Here we have gross divided by 6. This will also give us a VAT of 20%. We can check this by using the same gross value that we had in the earlier examples. 960 divided by 6 equals 160. This is because there are 6 lots of 20 in 120. If we wanted to simplify our 5% calculation, we would need to find out how many lots of 5 there were in a 105. 105 divided by 5 equals 21. We could divide a gross value by 21 to give us 5% of that value. Finally, to summarise, goods value. This would be the value of goods before any trade discounts have been deducted. Net value. This is the value of goods after any trade discount has been deducted and before VAT has been added. If there is no discount, the goods value will be the net value. Gross value. This is the total invoice value after VAT has been added to the net. Including, inclusive. These terms tell us that the value we have includes VAT and is the gross. Excluding, exclusive. These terms tell us the value we have is the net before VAT has been added.